This is B of C Live, the video and podcast series of Business of Cannabis. Find out all that we do at businessofcannabis.com. Coming up on B of C Live, a conversation with Michael Krestell, the executive chairman of Dynaleo, an edibles manufacturer based in Edmonton, Alberta. Enjoy this conversation with Michael Krestell. Well, thanks for being here.
Great to be here, Jay. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. I feel like when we, if we were to line up the times that we've talked, from the first time to the second to the third to now, I don't even know how many times it's been, but it will be a nice, interesting tracker of where the industry is, especially on the edible side and especially on the gummy side. And things continue to change and evolve. Yes?
Yeah, all the time. This is such an incredibly fast-moving industry, and I talk about it with our folks, Dynaleo all the time too, saying you have to remember, forget about going back a couple of years. This time last year, we had just started shipping products into stores, and you fast forward, and what a whirlwind. So you go from having no SKUs anywhere, and all of a sudden we've got a full family of brands under 3 different banners and out there in the stores. And it's a similar story, not just for us, but for other participants in the industry too. There's been so many new brands launched, so many new products, so much innovation. It is a whirlwind, that is for sure.
It is, and it'd be one thing if that was the only thing happening, right? Like you guys were launching new products, 0 SKUs to a full suite of them in a year. But it's happening in a landscape that's happening for sure for you and for others. In Ontario, the largest market, I think from December 2020 to December 2021, the sheer number of stores went up 111%. The number of SKUs exploded. Consumers are entering the market. COVID factors into it. In some way, it's a really challenging game of 3-dimensional chess to understand what's happening, never mind to launch products into that landscape. And I'm sure there'll be millions of case studies written from MBA students from now to eternity about sort of this period of time. But I think one of the things that's most interesting for me personally to go into stores and see is there are new things launching all the time. And maybe even for the first, we talked about this past year, a lot of the initial gummies, let's say, were just THC. Boom. How many, is it 1 piece, 2 pieces, or 10 pieces to get the 10 milligrams into that package? Then there was things that even you launched that were larger format, no THC, only CBD products that were, novel to the legal sector. Now it's there's a whole nother wave. And I don't know if this is the 3rd wave or some other number, but you guys have launched a CBN product, CBN plus CBD, CBN plus THC. Talk about the products that are launching now, because it gets more and more interesting.
Yeah, it really does. So again, lots of innovation. And so now there's a lot of attention being paid to the minor cannabinoids. So, you mentioned CBN. So we've put out a product called Dynadream. It's a lemon ginger flavor, which I think is delicious actually. And it's got 20 milligrams of CBD and 2 milligrams of CBN in it. And so it's under, their Dyna Wellness or their Dyna Thrive banner. So it's meant to be used as a wellness product. And then we also introduced a product with THC and CBN. And like you mentioned, it's Blueberry Moon under our Sunshower brand. So, for consumers who are looking for a premium gummy that's got CBN as well as THC in it, this has 2 milligrams of CBN and 1 milligram of THC. And we sell it in a 10-pack to stay within that, that 10 milligram, package limit that we have.
And I will say it because I don't think you're supposed to, but I will. When I tell my mother-in-law, the N stands for nighttime, just to give her some clear indication of when she should use different products. But it is this sort of wellness idea that these things, and we talked about it before with you, there are certain flavors of minor cannabinoids that mean something to people. And this fits that category. And it is interesting because certainly on the minor cannabinoids, there wasn't really anything on the market. I don't know, was it 6 months ago? And now there are new, obviously, products you're launching, but consumers are paying more and more attention. Is that what you're finding?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So in addition to CBN, you're starting to see some CBG products coming out. There's some of the other minor cannabinoids are now starting to be taken a look at. And so I'd imagine that, within kind of the next 12 to 24 months, you'll see a whole bunch of different products. And it's just really interesting the way that the use cases for consumers it just continues to expand as we learn more and more about the product. We learn more and more just about ways that people are incorporating it into their daily lives, like you said. So, you talked about, the way that your mother uses it. I take it for the same purposes, and I find that it's just relaxes and just starting to incorporate it in my daily life.
And I think that's more and more people are doing that. And we see even from the numbers in the Ontario Cannabis Store, like the sheer number of stores, brick and mortar, is a direct correlation to how many people are actually buying cannabis at those stores. Like more and more people are seeing cannabis stores in their neighborhood. More and more people are going to those cannabis stores and buying more and more products. And as that happens, the sort of exploration from a cannabis consumer old, like not, I don't mean age old, but like someone who does it a lot versus someone who's in there for the first time, like looking for interesting products. And I wonder if you hear that feedback from sort of retail partners or folks you have on the ground. Like, are they hearing that from their retail partners saying, we have consumers who are asking for more and different and what's new?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, they are. And as you expand these stores into more and more neighborhoods, and you're addressing different demographics, and so that's when you start to see consumers getting more educated, looking for something that's particularly going to help them. So in the early stages, and this is probably like a pre 2.0, really go to a retail store, and it was just all about give me the highest THC limit that you possibly can, and I'll take as much of it as I'm allowed to on my within the personal consumption limit. You fast forward to today, and we're having conversations with lots of folks around setting up specific wellness sections in their store, because that's what their consumers are demanding. So this whole the proliferation of stores has really sort of helped to demystify even further the industry and the potential uses for the products in all of its different forms.
Yeah, it's allowed you to create interesting products. It's allowed retailers to offer differentiated products and allowed consumers to explore a lot more. And even within retailers, I mean, we were talking to one in Ottawa, and they were saying they have 2 stores in Ottawa. The offerings and the consumers at both of those stores, which are like 10 minutes apart, almost completely different. Like one, large format flower is like that. The other is smaller format, everything else. Like it just, everything's varied, and you get to learn those behaviors of your consumers and feed those consumers what they want and need. And it's, that's super dynamic and doesn't happen in that many industries in real time that we get a glimpse at. I don't know if you've had experience in sort of your business life. Like it's pretty unique to see all the dynamism happening in real time.
Yeah, 100%. And we've talked before, and so I've had a bit of a front seat to this. Going back to the MMAR days, kind of pre-regulation, and it is unbelievable, and how quickly it's happened and how broad it's gone. And I still really think, I used to, guys, a couple of years ago, I say like we were in like the 2nd inning, so we're probably still in like the 3rd or 4th. There's a long way to go, and it's super exciting.
Well, it is, but even if you look at other markets like Colorado and California, sort of more or the most mature markets, like things continue to change there too. We keep an eye on sort of what products are launching there and flavor profiles and what cannabinoids are input. Like it's dynamic even up until those places on the sort of product side. And on the regulatory side, like some of them are catching up to where we are around delivery, e-commerce, sort of the access points, because I think we've all seen like the sky doesn't fall, right? It doesn't fall when there's new products on the shelf, certainly, but it doesn't fall when regulations either ease up or change. And I think that adds to the layer of the industry and makes it more challenging for everybody, but also why a lot of people are involved.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I tell you that the changes that we're seeing in the consumer behavior is particularly pertinent when it comes to the gummy category. So in Canada, we are still severely under indexed versus what you're seeing in those more mature markets that you're talking about, Jay. So where, Colorado, California, you're looking at anywhere between 15 to 20% of total sales going to an edibles category. In Canada here, we're barely pushing. Last numbers I think I saw was about 5 to 5.5%, which is up from the 4% where it was, kind of pre our existences, in the market. And so, as regulations continue to develop, as the product use cases expand, as the products continue, to improve in quality, you're going to see more and more migrate over to our category, is our belief, because edibles are just a great way to to ingest the product without a lot of the side effects that you get from vaping and smoking and all the things that intuitively that we've talked about before.
It's also interesting. I mean, it feeds. It seems to me, you don't have to say anything, but you can nod or not nod. Like, it seems to me one of the things that Health Canada could do as they revisit the Cannabis Act is the, not even potency levels, but actually maximum THC per package, because that would be two things. That would do two things. One, it'd bring more people into the legal market. And two, it would make them all, you know, it would just be better for consumers, right? It's better for consumers who are in there now, be certainly better for the industry, but it's one of the offerings that legacy consumers are looking for. It's just more in each pack. It would cut down on packaging. It would bring more people in. Like, it would do a lot of the good policy goals as well as industry goals that I think would be relevant. And I hope and I think they'll be thinking about that, and that we know that would move the number of the 5% of it up. And it would probably, you know, it would take out of, it would be a very compelling thing for them to do. And I'll say it so you don't have to, but unless you want to chime in and say it too.
Well, I would just say it'd be impossible for me to disagree with anything that you just said there. How about that?
Yeah, that's very diplomatic. It's you've learned your lessons. It's really good. The people on your team watching this will be like, yes, thank you for not saying that, but also for agreeing. But I will say one thing, Jay. I'm okay, like, with the way that the regulator has approached this. You know, by taking like a very measured, conservative, controlled approach to it, to see what happens with consumers, and to see what the experience has been, and to find out what consumers are going to want in the future. That's okay. So, you know, I've got no issues with where it is, and I do think a lot of what you said is true, and that should be where the industry is going. Yeah, I think so too. I always appreciate talking to you because it is like a front row seat to the dynamic industry and sort of what you guys are doing. And like, I think it's super exciting for consumers, and I'm gonna, as soon as we get off, I'm gonna search my nearest stores to see where I can buy the new products and get my mother-in-law some CBN.
There you go. Well, we'd love to hear the product review. Let us know how it goes.
I'll have her chime in on Reddit or something. All right. She's not really on Reddit, but I appreciate you taking time. I look forward to connecting down the road, and thanks for having us. Or thanks for being here.
Yeah, you got it.
You got it.
No,
thanks,
thank you. Thanks for having me. Stay well. Talk to you soon.
You good? That was BFC Live. If you like this program, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us wherever you find your podcasts. We're able to do what we do because of ongoing partnerships with Alterna Savings, Cannabis at Work, Cannabis Benchmark, Can Delta, Gallagher, Headset, and Torque and Main. Find out all that we do at businessofcannabis.com.